and welcome to this episode of Q&A with the Hombre. Hope you guys had enjoyed the live stream last night here with the new agave spirit brand that we featured, which is the De Matachines last night. I thought Darian was a great guest, and provided us some great information. Come on, let me get you focused. There you go. So we're going to move the Q&A with the Hombres here to the Hombre Cave from now on. So they'll be here every Wednesday at noon instead of on the Tequila Hombre channel. We're going to keep just the reviews and informational content on the Hombre Cave. Well, let me turn this up because it's bothering me on the Tequila Hombre channel. And then this is going to be more of an in-depth look at things and kind of more of like a podcast format here on the Hombre Cave, where we'll talk about the reviews and we'll talk about other things that we're getting into here in the Hombre Cave. For example, the winemaking that I'm doing. And by the way, just to give you guys a status update, I did a Chardonnay and I did a Cabernet Sauvignon, and both of them, the original batches, are in malolactic fermentation right now. So that's good. They're chugging away. And I started a new batch, again, of Cabernet Sauvignon with the grape skins. And that one's starting in the fermenter now. And then I just found a place that will sell grapes. So I can actually buy the grapes frozen directly from some vineyards. And so I'm going to do some batches of wines where I'm actually going to use grapes to ferment and then crush them and do it like a winery will do, which I think is kind of cool and fun and definitely different. So that's going on right now. So I am doing those, and I'll do some video content on those as well, so we could talk about winemaking, which, it's very similar, if not almost identical, to tequila production, which some people argue with me about, but they can't argue with, because I know it's so that's going on. And then March, we're getting our first barrel for the Tequila Barrel and Agave Collective this month, supposedly, and it's going to be the Yayo Single Barrel Reposado. And so I have the sample from when I did the tasting. John sent me the rest of the bottle. So this is barrel 7 for the Yayo Single Barrel Reposado. We'll be the first in the country getting it. 45% alcohol by volume. I don't know if they're going to do that when they bottle it. I don't know if it's going to be 45 or if it's going to be cut down to 40. Hopefully they keep it at 45, because this was absolutely delicious. A delicious Reposado. So that's going to be an exclusive for the Tequila Barrel and Agave Collective. And if you're not a member and you want to join, just go to Ferment and Still, and you'll see the link for the exclusive Tequila Barrel and Agave Collective section. And it has a link to joining. It's $10 a month to be a member to get access to the stuff. And it just helps me offset my administrative costs and stuff for running the collective and doing all this stuff. And so you can join and get access to this special batch of Yayo Single Barrel Reposado that we're going to be doing. All right, so some other things we talk about. Home aging projects are done. They've been sitting in the bottles. The flavors are marrying. They're getting together really well. But if you look at some of the finished stuff, like I actually had the new experimental wood that I'm using for the G4 Madeira. That one was stuck in the bottle, so I actually had to repurpose. I'd find another bottle to decant it off to. So I used a Carrera bottle, but this is the one where it's American oak sherry soaked. Look at the color on that for the Carrera Blanco. This is the low CTB 045. So this is going to be amazing. I can't wait to taste through that. We got that one there. We got the Viva Mexico Blanco, which this was a French oak with a port wine soaked stave. Look at the color on that. This was a Blanco. Look, it looks amazing. Look at that. That one's going to be really good. I'm excited about those two. This is the G4 Madero. This is the French oak, the regular French oak stave. But look at the color on that too. Look at that. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. So this one's going to be really good. And then I got the Pasote, which that one, I don't know what I do with it. Oh, here it is. The Pasote didn't change that much. I don't know why, but it didn't get that dark. But the flavors, I'm sure, are going to be really good. So I can't wait to do the tasting on that. So we got that there, and then I've got the Lalo downstairs. And then the other G4 that I had to decant off into another bottle is downstairs as well. So, hey, Quicksilver, welcome. Bienvenido. Glad you can make it. Here to answer questions for you guys. So this is Q&A. So if you got something you want to know about, go ahead and ask away. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. That's what it's all about today. Pretty much open access to me with questions and whatever. So that's what I'm here for. So... Hey, Chris. Hi from Boston. Hey, Boston. Hopefully you guys are getting better weather now. It's times where Boston was actually warmer than it was here in Southern California, which is insane, which isn't very good, but, you know, it is what it is. We have to deal with it. Are you planning on doing any YouTube shorts for this channel? I can. Yeah, absolutely. Let me know what kind of content you want for them, and I could do some YouTube shorts. But I'll definitely do some stuff on, like, some of the things that I'm doing, like the wine tasting and stuff, or the wine making stuff that I'm doing. I'll definitely can do some shorts on that. I'm going to buy some frozen buckets of grapes and grape must that I can use to make wine directly from some vineyards. So I'll do some YouTube shorts for that. This one's mostly going to be live content, live podcast type of content, and then I'll do some stuff from like in here where we'll feature like top 5 reposados from here in the Hombre cave type of thing, and then we'll start exploring some of the special bottles and stuff that I have in here. I'm just waiting for more people to subscribe and stuff to build the audience up before we start diving into, because then people want to see them again, and then I have to do them again and again and again all over again. And I'd rather just have a good audience when I start diving into some of that stuff. Some of the rare bottles here that are hard to find, because what I'll do is when I crack them up and taste them, talk about them, I'll start giving away sample bottles of them too. So it pays to be a subscriber here, because you could end up getting some sample bottles and trying some stuff that nobody else has available anywhere. So it should be some good stuff, but I could definitely do some YouTube shorts for this channel if that's what you guys want. Just let me know what you want, what kind of content you want, and we can do it. Most of the informational content stuff's going to still be on the Tequila Hombre channel, like reviews and stuff like that. This one's going to be more about, you know, podcast stuff where we'll get more in details about production, about brands, about distilleries, about winemaking, about cigars, about the Lego City, and, you know, stuff like that. So if your bottle has a natural cork versus a plastic cork, do you have to seal it a special way if it's going to sit for a while? No, I don't. Depends on what a while is going to be. If it has a natural cork, if I'm going to have it sit for like 10 years, then I'll use a paraffin wax tape around it and wrap it that way, or I may put some argon gas in it. But most of the time it's not going to stay that long. I normally will try to finish stuff or drink it, and I'll just reseal it and stuff, but and just keep the natural cork in there and just use that. But if I don't plan on drinking it, which I don't do, I'm not a collector, I'm a drinker, so I don't really do that. The only time I've got like some bottles of the Lot 42A and 43A Fortaleza that I bought when that was a thing, and I got like probably 6 or 7 bottles of it, And I sealed those because I don't really plan on drinking those for a while, and I'm just going to break a bottle out here and there, and then I'll give away samples of that here as well for those of you that want to try the 42 and 43A. But I have those wrapped with paraffin wax, and that's like the only bottle I have wrapped with paraffin wax. No, I that's not true. I do have the 70th anniversary El Tesoro, because that has a natural cork that is infamous for leaking. I have that wrapped with paraffin wax as well, but that's about it. Everything else normal is just regular cork in it, sitting on the shelves here at room temperature in the Hombre cave. No sunlight in here. So these will last decades without any problems. So I don't worry about it too much. Hi from sunny Florida. Hi, sunny Florida. Hi, Jan. How are you? Long time no see since last night. I'll get those sample bottles out to you. Hopefully by the end of the week. Got to work on getting all that stuff together and shipped out. My wife handles all that stuff for me. So, but I will get it out. So don't worry. But thank you for last night, your participation stuff. And then I'm glad you'll get a couple sample bottles to try that amazing agave spirit. It's really good stuff. So let me see some other things. You know, we've been talking a lot about wine, and I don't know if you guys like wine or if you're interested in it. I am. And one of the ties that I'm finding is that, you know, the more I talk about wine, the more I learn about tequila and production and agave spirit production. And it's funny because I was just talking to a friend of mine and I said to him, I said, hey, it's been pretty crazy how I've been finding that wine production and tequila production are so close to each other. And it ends up that this guy I was talking to, who's a big tequila producer, is a huge wine guy. And he's like, I've been preaching this for years, Mark. I've been preaching this for years. I've been telling people about this for years, but no one's been listening to me. And he goes, but it's kind of cool that you've now discovered this and are talking about it. He goes, yeah, but you know, and he's one of the best. He produces some of the best tequilas that I've had in the recent near future. So that's kind of an interesting thing too, is that, you know, there's so many of these really good, really top wine guys that are doing the tequila thing and doing it really well. And a lot of people don't know that they're really super big into wines. So that was something that's really interesting for me. And so I've gotten, you know, deeper and deeper into making some of these really good wines. And I'm more of a tannin rich red wine guy than a, you know, Cabernet or something like that. I love a good red, bold red with lots of tannins and stuff. So I'm learning about, you know, leaching the tannins and stuff out of the skins and stuff, which is kind of the same as leaching the tannins and stuff out of the agave fibers and, you know, doing things like that. So there's a lot of stuff that's very similar between the two. For Tapatio Excellencia, I've read that the tequila is rested in glass jugs for 13 years before bottling. My question is, what does this do to the tequila? I don't know about 13 years. That's kind of crazy. It is it is rested for 5 years. I haven't heard 13. That 13's crazy. But what it does when you put it in it's rested in glass carboys. And what it does is it just kind of allows all the flavors to marry and kind of settle and for things to kind of meld together and mellow out a little bit. That's why I haven't really dove into these aging projects right away. I'm letting them sit in the bottle and letting the flavors kind of marry, because aging is kind of a very invasive process when it comes to the tequila and the wood. As the wood's drawing, the wood breathes. A lot of people don't know this, but the barrels breathe. They breathe, you know, based on temperature fluctuations and humidity fluctuations. And so they expand and they can contract. They expand and they contract. So it's breathing. And when they do this, you know, of course, there's an airtight seal inside. So when they do this, they draw the tequila in through the wood particles into the wood, and then they and then when it contracts, it pushes the spirit back out. And that's how it's able to draw a lot of the flavors and stuff out of the wood, the vanillin and other molecules and stuff that flavor the agave spirit for us, so the tequila or whatever you're aging in the barrel. So by doing that, it kind of rips into the tequila a little bit, and it's kind of very invasive. and upsetting for the tequila. It's not a very good process for the tequila, but it also, by doing so, it will also mellow the tequila out a little bit and filter it a little bit. And so it's good to kind of let things settle and let the molecules and stuff that are being introduced into the tequila kind of rest and meld, and to kind of mellow out and kind of just let it become a happy family, so everything kind of works together well. And so that's what they do. They put them in glass carboys, and they let them sit and let kind of everything just kind of chill out and meld together and marry. So that's a very complementary flavor profile and stuff. And that's one of the reasons why Tapatio is the Excelencia is one of my favorite extra añejos. It was my top before the Diablito Rojo came out. The Diablito Rojo right now is my favorite extra añejo. But what a lot of people don't realize too is by doing that also, everyone will go, oh, there's a new batch of Excelencia coming out. It's like, no. When I talked to Carlos about it, I was like, hey, I understand you have a new batch coming out. He goes, a new batch of Excelencia, and he's like, no, it's not a new batch. It's the same batch. It's just another bottling. And so what they'll do is they'll take, a certain amount of the carboys from the batch, and then they bottle them. And so they still have, like, from the same batch, more carboys that are resting until they pull those ones out and release those. And so that's how they're kind of controlling inventory and stuff. And they went from a 1 liter down to 750 milliliters on that as well. But yeah, they let them sit in the carboy to kind of meld and marry and get the flavors together and become happy with each other after aging. But 5 years normally, 13 years is not. I noticed the little air bubbles coming out of the staves I had going. I have aging some Blancos. I noticed the G4 Blanco got darker quicker than the Fortaleza Blanco. I'm using French Oak number 3 in both. Oh, nice. Yeah, sometimes it just has to do with the wood and how it was toasted, and because it's different wood. So some wood planks and stuff will turn darker than others. So you'll get you can get 2 American oak staves, and one of them will turn it darker than the other one because of the composition of the wood. It's just like with any barrel. One of the advantages of buying a single barrel is that when you buy the barrel, that's your exclusive flavor profile and your exclusive wood, and no one else is going to get the same flavor profile because the wood for each batch is completely different. It's the same with these as well. So some will age quicker and turn stuff darker quicker. Some will turn stuff, the flavors will be more rich than others, and some you'll get different flavors from. So they'll be different with each one, and that's one of the things that's kind of cool about using the staves is you can really age some really nice stuff with it. So what is that? The stave I'm using in the Fortaleza was set in a whiskey for 1 week before I put it in the Fortaleza. I don't know if that makes a difference in color. Either way, it's exciting and fun. It won't make that huge of a difference for 1 week, but it's definitely will enhance the flavor of it. So waiting to be able to try. Well, you can sample it. You sample it for each week. Take a little sample out and try it. You can try it. You don't have to wait. I was sampling these every week. I pretty much know what I'm going to be getting because I sample them every week. But I just use a pipette, a little pipette or whatever to draw the juice out to try it. You don't have to pour a big helping of it, but you can if you want. I mean, no one's stopping you. But I tasted these all along the way every week or so. So, can you talk about Brix and its importance to the flavor of the agave spirit? Brix isn't important to the agave spirit, to flavor the agave spirit. Brix is important to the sugar content for the fermentation, the alcohol percentage. So when you look at something Brix, and we're doing this with the wine, right? The wine that I'm fermenting was like 26 Brix for one batch, and the other one was like 24 Brix. So that just means there's more sugars on the 26 Brix for fermentation, and by calculating the Brix before and then after fermentation, you'll know what percentage alcohol by volume you have in your batch. So Brix is strictly the sugar level. So when they take a Brix reading, like for example, when they look at agave for Brix, they're looking at how much starch, how much sugars are in that. So that will tell them if it's 24 Brix for their agave, they know their batch is going to be right around 24 Brix. Or depending if they do, like, let's say they are able to extract 80%, right? So you take 80% of that 24 Brix, and that'll tell you approximately what your starting gravity is going to be for your mosto to start fermentation. So normally they look for the high Brix agave because they want as much sugars for fermentation, so they can get a good yield out of it. So they don't require more agave to get the right Brix level that they need for the batch that they're doing. So Brix is basically sugar content. It has nothing to do with the flavor profile at all. It just basically sugar. So now if they want to control the flavor profile and they want it sweeter or whatever, they can try to cut the fermentation short and not have it ferment as dry. If they can use a different yeast that may do that. But the flavor profile really comes from fermentation. The majority of it comes from fermentation. But if you don't have a good product to ferment, it's not gonna make a good product. So that's pretty much it. The Brix is all basically sugar content. It's fructose and glucose sugar levels. I tried the G4. It's already has a nice oaky vanilla taste going on. There you go. All right, good. And it's only been like a couple weeks, right? So that's good. So I don't know if you guys watched the winemaking thing. That's where you can learn about Brix and stuff, because it's the same thing. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing the wine projects, is to dive deeper down into the fermentation aspect of it, because the fermentation is key. You don't do a fermentation right, you're going to take any beautiful agave that you have and you're just going to completely fuck it up. It's going to be destroyed. You're going to get a big vat of shit to ferment if you don't ferment, or to distill if you don't ferment it right. So like I said before, 60% of your flavor profile comes from your fermentation. And that's one of the reasons why I dove so deeply into the winemaking thing, because it's the same with wine, right? You get some beautiful grapes, you don't ferment them right, you're going to get a big vat of shit that you're going to have to drink and taste, and it's not going to be good. It's not going to provide a good experience for you. The same's with agave spirits. You can't, you don't ferment right, you don't use the right yeast, you don't use the right temperature, you don't monitor your fermentation and keep your fermentation under control. What you're going to get for the still is just going to be a big vat of garbage, of mierda, as they say in Mexico. So you don't want that. So what are you using to measure your Brix? I use a refractometer. Let me see, I'll show you what it looks like. Here, let me, here, I'll tell you what, I'll grab my refractometer. Hold on a second. All right, so there's two ways you can measure Brix, right? One way is using a refractometer, which is what I like to use. So this is a refractometer. This is what it looks like right here. So the way it works, what you do is you take a little sample of your mosto, your must. You'll see it's must with wine, mosto with tequila, and you put, come on, focus, there you go. You put a little drop of it right here and you close this so it smushes down and spreads out over the entire surface there. and then you hold it up to a bright light, like sunlight works the best. And when you look into it, I just poked myself in the eye. That was really smart, Mark. So you look into it, and it will refract the sunlight, and the sugars in there, when it's rich in sugars, will block the sunlight. So when you look in here, you'll see a black mark that goes up it all the way up to the top that tells you, and then on the side, like it says, it'll say 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and it goes up a scale up, and it says bricks on it. And the other side, what does the other side say? The other side says apparent value degree alcohol. So when you look at 20, that's about 12% alcohol when you look at that. So it based on what the bricks reading in here says. So we did 26, so that's going to be around a 15% alcohol content on that wine. So that'll tell you here, that's assuming that you ferment down to 0 or less. So this is one way. This is the refractometer is one way. This is what a lot of the distilleries in Mexico use. They use a refractometer. So what they could also do, if they want to take a reading of the must before it ferments and after it ferments, and figure out what their actual alcohol content is, they can use what's called a hydrometer. And a hydrometer is a long tube that you drop into a cylinder. I've got one downstairs. If you guys want, I can go grab it and show it to you. But just let me know if you want me to do that. But you drop it into a tube and it floats. And it floats, and water, will keep it. It's got a scale on it, and water is at 1. Okay, when you're at a 1 gravity reading, that's basically means you're like it, same as water. Okay, so then as the more sugars and stuff it has, the less the tube will drop, the more it'll float. It's like because the sugars in the water creates buoyancy, right? So it makes it so it's more dense, and so the glass tube will rise further up in the glass. So when it does that, it adjusts where on the scale it is. So it could be, normally it's done with like a 10 rating. So it'll be like 1060, 1070, 1080, 1090, 1010, and it goes up the scale from like 10, 0 to 10 to, higher. And depending on where your bricks rating is, what's called your starting gravity, and where your finishing gravity is, you can calculate based on those two numbers what your alcohol by volume is. And that tells you too how much sugar's there. So if you, like this wine that I'm doing, it's already down to a 0.996. So it could actually go to a 0.990, which is below water. So which means there's mostly alcohol in there. So it's below the 1, which is what water would be at. If you filled up the cylinder with water and dropped your hydrometer in there, it'll float at 1. So by doing that, it means there's more alcohol in there than there is water. So it'll drop down to 0.996, 0.990 or less is the goal for the wine. So it's still chugging away. It's still, the yeast is still finishing up the sugars and stuff in there. And so I'll know by one batch, starting at 26 bricks and dropping for as far as it's going to be around 16% alcohol by volume. And then the other batch that I did, which was 24 bricks, it's going to be around 14% alcohol by volume for the other wine. And then I had the latest batch I did, the starting gravity on it was lower than what I wanted. I think I put too much water in it, and so it diluted it down. So that one started at 1076 starting gravity, which I think when I did the bricks reading on it, it was right around 20 bricks. So that one's going to finish like right around 10.5, 11% alcohol by volume for that particular wine. It's going to be a little less alcohol than the other batches, and it's because I over diluted it accidentally. So Can you provide a reference of scale for bricks? Meaning, like, what is the bricks of a mango versus a radish? You really can't do that because the bricks on a mango will change depending on how ripe it is. The more ripe it is, the more sugars there are, so the higher the bricks count will be. And it all depends too on how sweet a radish is. So it has to do with how much sugars are present inside the fruit. So I can't say that that a mango is going to be this particular bricks level and a radish is going to be this particular bricks. It's more of like, this is how much sugar is going to be in it. So it's like raisins, right? We're not raisins, grapes for wine. Depending on the harvest, depending on how much sun it got, how ripe it got and stuff, the bricks levels will go up. And so when you look at like batches, like I'm looking right now, I'm buying batches of frozen grapes. They'll tell me the bricks rating for each batch of grapes. And then I can pick which one I want based on how high the bricks are on it. But it's different for every batch. It's different for every varietal, because it's based on how much sun they get, how ripe they got, what kind of water they got during the year, during the season, how big the grapes got. And so all that changes depending on what the particular fruit's gone through. And it's the same with agave. When the agaves that are up in Los Altos that are starving for water most of the time get bigger, they get juicier, they get sweeter, they get more bricks in them than the ones in the Valle, which are smaller because they have an ample supply of water and it doesn't get as cold as it does up in Los Altos, and so they don't grow as big and they don't have as much sugar in them, and it takes more of them to maintain your bricks level to create your mosto. So they have to buy more of the smaller Valle agave than they do the larger Los Altos agave. So bricks changes depending on, and in each particular agave will have a different bricks. So it's like each mango will have a different bricks. Radish, I'm not sure radish is going to have much bricks to it because there's not much sugars in it. At least, I'm not sure. I've never tried to see how much sugar's in a radish, but I'm assuming from the taste of it that it probably doesn't have a whole lot. It's probably mostly water. Otherwise, it would be a lot sweeter. So it depends too on the bricks level on a radish could vary depending on how ripe the radish is, how big it's got, how much sun it's gotten, how it's grown and riped out. So does that make sense? But they normally look for agave, in the 20, 25, 26, between 20 and 26 area when they're looking for ripe agave up in the fields. They normally look, for something in the 20s for their mosto. So it's pretty much the same with wine. Like they said, talk about how close the wine is. When I looked at the batches of grapes, they normally run 21 to 25, 26 bricks on the grapes. It's the same with agave. It really is. It's amazing for me how similar they are between the two of them. And that's, but that's what they look for what they do is they'll actually take, take a plug out of the agave. They have a plug, like a hollow pole that they jam into it, and they take a plug out of it, and then they will put it into a refractometer in the fields, and they'll look at it and see what kind of sugar is inside that agave. And then they will know, okay, this particular agave is giving me a 26 bricks reading or 24 bricks or whatever. All right, good. I'm glad that that's kind of making sense for you. But bricks is cool. And, seriously, you want to learn a lot about what's going on, in the process and stuff. Buy a wine kit and make a batch of wine at home. And understand what you're doing, or you can, what I'm going to do is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start doing like, inviting people over here and, helping with the batches and helping with doing wine, and then explaining how this is like so, ridiculously similar to agave spirits, to tequila as well. but you'll have a really advanced knowledge on fermentation and stuff. And that's what I did, making beer and wine, how yeast works, what the importance of the sugar content is, and all this stuff. That's where it is. It's all about sugar content and quality of the fruit, but then it's also about how well the fermentation is handled, how well it's babied and monitored, because you can't just throw, you can get a batch of really nice agave and you can't just cook it and crush it and then just toss yeast into it and just let it go crazy without monitoring what's going on and what temperature and stuff, because if you do that and you don't pay attention and nurture the fermentation aspect of it and make sure you're pitching at the right yeast count and all that stuff, you're gonna really screw up a completely good batch of agave, a very expensive batch of agave, and you're gonna come out with a big vat of shit. And so then when you ferment that shit, it's going to taste like shit. When you distill it, it's going to taste like shit. It's going to taste really bad. It may have a really bad burn to it, or funky flavors, because that's what you have in your fermentation. So that's what you're drawing out. By monitoring temperature and ensuring that you have the right yeast in there doing the work and not some wild yeast that's in there attacking things, you're producing a better quality spirit. And so that's one of the things that people like Carlos Camarena and Felipe and stuff do. They really watch their fermentation. And then if you've ever been to La Alteña and even El Pendillo, he's got jacketed fermenters that are on the bottom, section of his fermentation area. And he's got them jackets around them to insulate them so he can cool them and keep them in the right temperature. And they fill it up, but they already have the yeast going. They already have it propagated. They already have it ready. And that is added as the mostos coming in out of the tonna. And they get that fermentation going as quickly as possible. And then they monitor the temperature with the windows open, letting the ambient air in rondas, which is, easily jacket weather for most of us when we're out there. Keeping everything cool and making sure that he monitors the temperatures. And if things start getting hot and he sees the fermentations getting hot, he can turn on the water on those jackets and it'll cool those stainless steel fermenters down. And now he's got, wooden fermenters, which are tucked away in a corner too. Those will stay cool just on their own. They don't conduct heat and won't adjust and temperature as easily as stainless steel does. Because stainless steel you can cool or you can heat, and it'll adapt to the temperatures very quickly. So I have a NOM question. 15C makes Blancos for G4 and Artenom, among others. But why does G4 and Artenom Blancos taste so different? What are they doing differently from one to the other? Well, I hate to break it to you, but 1570, the Artenom 1574 and the G4 Blanco are the exact same Blanco. The only difference is they aerate the Artenom 1579. That's the only difference for there, is they aerate the tequila before they bottle it. They pump it full of oxygen, and so that kind of mellows out the flavor profile on a little bit, but it's just a weaker G4. That's all the Artenom 1579 is. So I sat and talked to Felipe about that. I'm like, yeah, so what's, he's like, only thing that 1579 is it's just aerated G4. That's all it is. So he can produce a batch of G4 and put some of it aside for Artenom and then just aerates it, pumps it full of air, and then bottles it. And then he's got a batch there, but then he's got the rest of his batch for G4. But the other stuff that they do there is a matter of water mixtures, because he plays with water a lot there. So like, let's say Volans is 1/3 spring water, one third deep well water, and 1/3 rainwater. So those are 3 different waters that they use to make that particular tequila. And so it messes with the flavor profile that way. G4 is 50% rainwater, 50% natural spring water. And then Terralta is 100% deep well water. So if you really want a treat, Dive into the world of Terralta and see the complexity and stuff you get from that super rich mineral water. And then they did, I think it was the Primo. The Primo is all natural spring water. I think that's the one. I think they did all natural spring water. And then they did the Don Vicente, which I'm not sure what the water mixture is on that and what they did. I think they're using the wood for Primo too. They're doing it half and half in wood and in stainless. So the wood imparts a little bit of flavors in the distillation too, where it's pulling particles out of the wood. So let's see. When the agave is cut, do they have a limited amount of time to cook it? Will they let the agave sit to develop a brick similar to what happens to a banana? No, agaves don't ripen off the out of the ground. They die. They decay and wither away. So when they get the agave, they harvest them, they put them in the truck, they reel them to the distillery, and they dump them right out there, and the guys start taking hatchets to them and chopping them up and getting ready to cook right away. They're prepared right away. They don't have agave just sitting around waiting to be processed. They dump them out and cut them in half and start loading them into the ovens to cook. Once it comes out of the ground, they want to get them cooked as quickly as possible. Can you buy cooked agave juice? Yeah, if you ask a distillery, they may sell you some. But I wouldn't do that because it's starting to ferment right away, right as they squeeze it and stuff. It's going to start fermenting because there's wild yeast everywhere. In order to stop that from fermenting, they need to hit it with something, and they don't. So there could be wild yeast in the air, bacteria, anything that could start working on that. So if you if you want to prevent it, you need to hit it with sorbate or something to stop the bacteria or wild yeast from fermenting it before you have a chance to do it with whatever yeast you're going to use. That's why immediately when they're crushing it and it's going right into the vat, they have the yeast pitched in it, and they try to get it going right away. And most of the time, by the time the vat's filled, it's in a raging fermentation right away. And so then it'll go for 4 days or so, 4 or 5 days to finish. But if you asked them, I'm sure they would sell it to you, but I wouldn't recommend doing it because you could have a bucket full of stuff fermenting right away, and it could blow up on you by the time you have a chance to open it and do anything with it. So, and if you've ever tried the agave nectar from Senior Mage, they don't use any preservatives or anything in that, and so that's why when you buy that, it's pure agave juice, it's pure agave nectar. There's no diffuser or anything used for it. It's all done naturally like they would tequila production. And so once you open that bottle, you need to keep it in the refrigerator because otherwise it will ferment on you and it'll blow the top off sitting in your pantry. I know because I had bottles blown the corks out of them because it was fermenting while it was sitting in the pantry. So I have it sitting in the fridge now. It's still delicious. It's the best agave nectar you can buy, and you know that because it'll ferment while it's sitting there if you don't keep it cool and keep it covered. In case hypothetically someone wants to try to eat, you can. If you want to do that, you can you just buy cooked agave from them. Matter of fact, if you ever, I don't know if you live in areas where you have Mexican grocery stores. Like here in Southern California, we have stores that are like Cardenas, where you can go to that specialize in Mexican specialties, Mexican food and stuff. They have Mexican Coke, Mexican Squirt, Mexican items, chilaquiles. I mean, they have like all these, well, not chilaquiles, what are the crickets and stuff. I mean, they have all kinds of peppers, but it's like a Mexican food market. We have Asian food markets here too. But the Mexican food market, sometimes if you go into the produce section, you can buy packaged cooked agave. So, and you could have that to try if they have it in stock. Sometimes it'll say on it mezcal and sometimes it'll say cooked agave. But if you see a big brown chunk of something and it says mezcal on it, that's cooked agave. So you can pull that out and try it. I'm not sure what kind of agave it's going to be, but it's it would, it would be cooked agave. So whether it's Weber Blue agave or not, it's a whole different thing. So probably not because of the price of Weber Blue, but they do grow Weber Blue out here, and so they could be cooking stuff here that's not DO'd for tequila. So, is Mosto safe to consume? Sure, yeah, it's fine. You can drink it if you want, because it's just sugar water. It's really, that's all you're drinking is sugar water. I don't know if I would ever drink it. I've never drank Mosto just because it could have some wild yeast going crazy inside of it, or at the time, or wild bacteria that could probably make you sick. But I don't see why not. I've never tried it though, because I'm normally when you go to a distillery, they'll give you a slice of cooked agave. Excuse me. And you can normally just sit there and chew on a slice of cooked agave, and I prefer that over drinking a whole batch of sugar water. But if you're not diabetic and you want to try it, ask them. Maybe they'll scoop you up a little bit and let you try it. I've never asked. I've been really close to roller mills as all the stuff's dripping down, and I'm sure if I said, "Hey, can you give me a cup?" they would have. But and they probably say, you probably don't want to do that, just because it's pure sugar water. Instead, at least with the agave, you get fiber and stuff in there, and and you don't, when you're chewing on the cooked agave, if you get a penca to chew on, you don't want to, you just want to put it in your mouth and pull on it and extract the sugars out of the fibers, and then just throw the fibers away. Don't eat the fibers, because if you do, it could wreak havoc on your digestive system, in that it could cause you to get really bad diarrhea. So normally if you eat it, you eat the corazon. The corazon's like the flat area of the cooked agave. So you'll see it in the middle towards the heart. It's flat. And then you'll see the fibrous areas of the penca on the outside. That's more fibrous. If they hand you a fibrous area, you put it in your mouth, you want to be a pro, and you pull it like this, like you're, like if you ever done like sugar cane or something where you basically bite down on it and pull it, or like an artichoke, right? When you do an artichoke, you basically just put it in your mouth and you pull on it, and then you pull off the heart, which is on the inside. Well, it's the same type of thing with agave. The heart's the flat, smooth area in the middle, and you can eat without any problems. But if it's got a lot of fiber to it, you don't want to eat it, because then it could wreak havoc on your digestive system, and you don't want to do that. It's not very pleasant. You could spend more time in the bathroom than you really want to. So, cool. You look for it. Yeah, look for it in the Mexican stores. You can find it, so you can try it. But if not, if I can put together a tour, we'll make sure you guys all get to taste cooked agave and what it tastes like. So, might be good for a hangover if there's no yeast or bacteria in it. No, it's not. It wouldn't be good for a hangover because it's going to be pure sugar water. So I wouldn't drink it for a hangover. It probably would make you sick. Drinking sugar water. I wouldn't drink it for a hangover. For a hangover, for me, it's a cheeseburger or tacos, a good, what is it? Huevos rancheros or something like that. Big, or what's really good for a hangover is, we went to a place when I was in Mexico with the Camarenas. There's around us, there's a place called Camarena Birria, which, if you ever had birria is great. It's like a slow poached meat, that's in a soup type of broth, and it is so good, and there's so much like juicy fat and stuff in the beef and stuff in there, and it just melts in your mouth, and it's super flavorful. And you take your tortillas and you put some of the birria on the tortillas and dip it in the broth, and just that stuff is amazing for when you've been drinking the whole night the night before. It really coats your innards nicely and gets you set for your next day, gets rid of that hangover. And then, of course, They're giving you jalapenos and peppers and stuff with it too, which is great as well. And then don't drink any alcohol until the hangover part's gone, and then you're definitely good for that. So, but the birria or the cabeza tacos are amazing when you're hungover from drinking a lot of tequila with your friends the night before. Those were great. I wouldn't want to drink a batch of sugar water because that's not good. Would definitely be up for a tour. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, if I can get the logistics part taken care of, I don't want to. If I'm doing a tour, I don't want to be the person that. I don't want to be the person that is trying to handle the logistics of things and worrying about transportation and whether they're going to show up. I want somebody else to take care of all that. Make sure the hotel reservations are done and all that stuff. I want somebody that can take care of all that and, make sure everybody's paid up and all that. I just want to be the person that's like, okay, this is the tour. This is where we're going. This is what we're doing. This is this guy and this is this guy. And this is, and just handle that area of it. All the logistics, all the plans and stuff. I want somebody else that's a professional to take care of that. So I'm working on trying to find somebody to do that. So how about the Mosto Muerto? Is this juice, sugar, water? No, it's dead. It's already fermented. It's alcohol. It's just alcohol and water. And any residual sugars that are still left in there, if there's anything that the yeast didn't take. But I wouldn't drink it. But if you want to, you can. I don't think it would kill you. It might, at the worst, make you sick. But I've never seen any master distillers or anybody ever take some dead Mosto and put it in a glass to drink it. I mean, it is wine. It's just, agave wine. But it's done, most of it's done open fermentation. If it was done closed fermentation where they hit it with a certain yeast and there's not anything wild in it, I would probably say, yeah, go ahead. But the fact that it's open fermentation and you can have all kinds of bacteria and wild yeast and stuff that could have gotten in it and done some work on it as well, I wouldn't drink it. That's one of the things too. I mean, you look at wine production, right? Wine's done in closed fermenters because you do have to worry about wild yeast and stuff getting in there and working on stuff. And I was talking to actually, if you saw the live stream that I did with Dakota Denton about winemaking stuff. He even said that they had a wild yeast. They hit one of their batches and basically fermented all the sugars out in 24 hours, which is ridiculously fast. And it ended up just producing a big vat of crap because they didn't watch the fermentation part of it too much. And it ruins your whole vat of grapes. Hey, shut up! So I wouldn't, because it's mostly done with open air fermentation, I wouldn't drink it. And that's one of the reasons why they still it and they don't make agave wine from it. It's distilled and they just take the alcohol out of it. So I wouldn't drink it. Yeah, no worries. You don't know what's in it. I mean, if you don't know what's been working in it, I mean, and I never had any master distiller say, here, try it. And I was like, no, instead it goes right from the fermenter right into the still. And then they'll take tequila off the still and hand it to you and say, here, try it. What do you think? And then you can try it, still strength, which is great. I love doing that. But I've never had any master distiller ever hand me a glass of dead Mosto and say, here, try it. Because I don't think they want. I mean, seriously, you could get pretty bad stomach problems, I'm guessing, from it, and they probably don't want me having diarrhea all over their distillery. Because I'm sure spending a day there, I would end up flaring up, and I would get like serious problems. And then also, I mean, they use water that's not necessarily approved for American consumption, if you know what I mean. You have to be careful about the water that you drink, and you know, mostly bottled water for Americans when you're in these certain areas. Otherwise, you get the Montezuma's revenge thing happening. So, any updates on the Carrera Still? It's supposed to be coming in this month, is what they told me. So, we'll have the Carrera Still strength this month, and it's going to be for the Tequila Barrel and Agave Collective members exclusively to start. So, I know you're a member, Quicksilver, so you'll get access to it through the designated exclusive area of Ferment and Still. So that'll be there. And then this month we're expecting the barrel number 7 from the AO single barrel reposado coming in as well. If you guys didn't see it, I did the barrel selection here on this channel with John Bullinger, the owner of Yayo Tequila. It's really good. Oh my God, it's so good. There was a huge difference between this and I think it was barrel number 3 was the other one, my other choices. Huge difference between the two. This is fantastic. This is going to be so easy to drink that and so delicious that I think people are just going to get tanked on this. It's going to they'll be like, what happened to the bottle? It's gone already. I just opened it, type of thing. It's going to be really good. So I have no doubt this will sell out once people try it and stuff. So those of you that are members, buy it up while you can, because once it's gone, it's gone. This, like I said, this is a single barrel, so you'll not find another barrel with the same exact flavor profile and taste as this one. And with the differences in the two bottles that he gave me to select from, there's a huge difference from one bottle to the other. Huge. So this will be really good. So we'll have 2 good tequilas coming in this month, hopefully. But, you know, with Carrera, they've been telling me, you know, it'll be here this time, and then it keeps getting delayed. So I'm hoping they got it working. I need to message the Camarenas again. I know he's in Oaxaca right now working on a mezcal project, but he's supposed to be getting it cranked up and bottled and ready to come here to the U.S. So that should be coming. It's in the works. That we have the Yayo coming in, and then the Lafric barrel from El Tesoro got delayed. It's looking like June now is what they told me. We have a batch of 1414 Special Blanco. It's going to be exclusive for us. It was made exclusively for us. It's not made again. It's going to be a 90 proof Viva Mexico, but it's like a completely different flavor profile. So it's going to be really good. You guys are going to love it. It's got a malolactic flavor profile to it, from a slight malolactic fermentation that happened with it. It was an experimental batch that I tasted with them, and they're like, "Isn't this really?" I'm like, "This is amazing." And so I said, we want to buy it. And so they were like, "What?" I said, that batch is so good, I want to buy the whole batch. And they're like, "Well, I don't know. I think we're just going to keep this for VIPs and stuff." And I go, no, we want to buy the batch. Would you sell it? And the two Sergios looked at each other and they're like, and then Vivanco looked at Sergio Cruz, was like, "I thought we were going to keep this special, you know, for us," and blah, blah, blah. And Sergio Cruz goes, "Well, Mark's one of our family. You know, he'd get it into the people with the right hands." So he's like, "Do we really want to sell it?" And he's like, "Yeah, we," you know, and so they said, "Okay." And they agreed to sell it to me. So we have it. It's coming. It's ours. It's exclusively ours. And it's delicious. You guys are going to, those of you that like Blancos, you're going to love it. It's going to be really good. The Carrera, as we know too, the Carrera CTB 045, amazing stuff. I know there's people out there thinking the only reason why I'm promoting is because I'm getting paid by them and stuff. I haven't gotten paid a dime from anybody. I don't do that to people. I just rant and rave about things when they're good. But if people want to think I'm getting paid for it, let them. I don't care. I'm not, though. But this stuff's really good. And so it blew my mind when I tasted it. And then when they told me that they're making it the 40% with it, I was like, "Why? What? Well, that's going to be less for us." And they're like, "Oh, don't worry. We still have plenty for you." I'm like, "Okay." And then the last trip out there, we did a blind tasting where they set it up, and they had the 38%, the 40%, and the 54%. And then they had another, the old one, and the old one by far was the worst one of the batch. The 38 was good. The 40% was better. And the 54 was freaking amazing. It was absolutely beautiful. So I was like, I am so excited for this. So that was coming. And so it should be here this month is what I've been promised. So we'll see whether it makes it. I stay on top of all this stuff all the time, you guys. It's like a full-time job. So I'm always messaging people, trying to find out where things are in the process or what I need to do. And so we're working on it. So it'll happen. And thank you for all of you guys that are members of the Tequila Barrel and Agave Collective that are on the Discord, because that helps me with covering my costs on doing all this stuff. So I appreciate the membership and appreciate you guys being a part. And the more people we get to join it, the more really cool stuff we can do with other distilleries. We just need to be able to make sure that we can sell everything that we buy, because if not, then our retail partner, which is Ferment and Still, will not let us do it anymore. Because my partners that handle that are like, we just need this stuff to be sold. We don't want to sit on inventory for a long period of time. I'm like, I understand. So that's the caveat. We want to do these projects. We need to buy them. So we need to make sure we get enough people that the whole batches go. And make sure that when you place an order, don't just buy a bottle. Buy a few bottles. Buy enough to last you for however long you want to drink it, because there's no guarantee when you come back and want more, it's going to be there. So when we first did the collective, we first put it together, it was required that you bought a case at a time. But back then, too, it was a lot less expensive, and we didn't have a retail partner that would break cases. Instead, they would just ship a whole entire case. So if you wanted it, you had to buy a case for the first 5 barrels that we did. And then after that, we found a retailer that would break them up and sell individual bottles. And now that I'm a partner with this retailer, we're allowed to do that. But the caveat is we have to make sure we sell it, because my other partners are not going to be happy if we're sitting on inventory and not getting it sold right away. So have your friends join if they're interested in getting in on it. Don't buy for them. Have them join and buy themselves. And we need to build up the membership, and so we can get some really cool things going, some really cool projects with some other distilleries. And the more people we have, the more power we have. So that's a big key thing for us now is getting things where we can take 2 barrels of something if we need to, or do a full batch of something and know that it's going to sell. Because I can get us some really cool things, but I just need to be able to commit to the entire batch. Which right now, with the amount of members we have, I can't do that because I don't know that it's going to sell for a whole batch. All right, does it make sense? Any other questions, any other comments, any other thing you guys want to talk about here before we wrap this up? Hopefully you guys enjoyed this Q&A. It was very informative for you. Is a case 6 bottles? Yes, cases are 6 bottles with liquor. Yeah, with wine it's typically 12, I think. But liquor, most of the time it's 6. Occasionally there's a brand that does 12. Or occasionally, if they're like in the wooden boxes, it may be 4 or 3 bottle case. If it's like a Diablito Rojos in 3 bottle cases, but ours are going to be 6 bottle cases. So the Carrera 6 bottle case, the Yayo is also 6 bottle case. So most of the cases that we get will be 6 bottles. And then what we're going to work out too is like if you buy a case, you get free shipping. So. We'll do something like that too. So if you buy a case, you'll get a better savings than not buying a case. But then you'll also have a full case of a special tequila that will last you a while, and not coming back going, I need to buy some. I get people now that are still going, hey, are you getting some more of the Ray Sol 10-year? And I'm like, no, it's done. We're done. It's not. Can't get any more. What do you mean you can't get any more? Well, I told you it was a single barrel. Once the barrel's sold out, it's gone. Oh, I thought you would be able to get more. No, I never said that. And then they're like, oh, well, I should have bought more. I'm like, yeah, I told people Yeah, but there's people that will just buy a bottle and then they'll go, wow, that was really good. And it takes a couple weeks to drink it. And by the time they're ready to buy more, they come back and it's gone. And then they get angry at me because it's all sold out. And they're like, well, I'm a member. I'm supposed to get it. I'm like, well, all the other members bought it all. So sorry. So don't be left wanting. Stock up. I do. I buy a case of everything that I get. I like so much. I buy a case of it. I'm in for a case of the El Tesoro Repo when that comes in May. I'm in case for the Lafric El Tesoro when that comes in. I'll get a case of the 54 Carrera. I'll get a case of the Yayo. I buy a case of everything. And then I have leftover bottles. I still have bottles from some of the first buys that we did over here. So the Corazon de Agave, the Blantons, and the Eagle Rare and stuff. I still have bottles of them over here. So I'm not left wanting. If I want to crack an old bottle from an old barrel that we did, I can do that. And I can take people on a tour of it as well. So that's the advantages of buying like a case at a time versus just a bottle. All right, so that's it for Q&A with the Hombre on Wednesday. Hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll be doing this every Wednesday at noon, mixed in with our Tuesdays and Friday live streams as well. I'll keep you guys posted on what's going on with the aging projects. We'll probably do that this Friday. I'll probably go through those. And that'll be kind of fun to do. And then I'm using Beyond Barrel aging staves on the wine to age the wine as well. So that's kind of cool. And then I'll keep you guys posted on what's happening with the wine. And if you guys want to come over and do batches of wine, if you want to be part of a group, if you're into wine and stuff, let's set it up for all the Southern California folks. You can come over to the house here. We'll do wine stuff together, and we'll press the grapes and stuff, and we'll bottle, and then you guys will give you a bottle of the wine to take home with you afterwards and stuff. So it should be fun. But then we can talk a little bit more about how this stuff relates, because it does relate exactly to agave spirits. Wine and agave are directly related to each other, so believe it or not. So, hey, you're welcome, Johnny E. All right, guys, so have a great rest of your day. We'll see you Friday at 7 p.m. for the live from the Hombre Cave. I may get some other content posted here before then, but if not, we'll see you on Friday, and that's it. So like I always say, life is too short to drink bad tequila. So hey, join the Tequila Barrel and Agave Collective. Get in on some of the really special stuff.